Hello and welcome to the Box Quote Podcast, the pop culture party podcast. It's a podcast of three childhood friends talking about pop culture and our lives just in general. It's a comedy podcast and a discussion podcast and an audio podcast. So I'm super excited. My name is Chris. This is Matt.
Hello.
And this is Tom.
Happy New Year, Daryl.
So, okay, here's what I'm excited about. Are you guys ready? Here's what I'm excited about
I'm
for
so
the new
scared,
show.
but okay.
For those that don't know, we had a show before this called Wingin It, and you can still find all the stuff at wingitpod.com.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Here's what I'm excited about is that as our listener base has certainly grown, I can reuse all my jokes that I made from Wingin It.
No, that was part of the contract we
That was
signed
part
at the
of the
beginning.
rules.
that we definitely threw all those out. Those are
If
in the
I hear
vault.
Chris tell a joke for a third time, there's just a script that automatically boots him from the Discord.
Right. In order for them to get those jokes back in this podcast, they have to donate to the Patreon. That's just how it works.
I'm not gonna lie, the contract that big podcasts made me sign, I really just kind of skimmed it. So
Joe Rogan's sitting there with a powdered wig.
Yeah.
If you want the unbleeped version of the show, which doesn't bleep out curse words, it just bleeps out Chris's jokes that he's been retold, you can find it on our Patreon.
There we go.
Yeah. So welcome to the podcast. This is super exciting. Are you guys excited?
I am pumped.
Very excited.
All right. So what this show is I kind of mentioned it in the beginning a little bit. It's a pop culture discussion comedy podcast. And basically just every week, it's about an hour and a half episode. The Box Quote Podcast itself is an amalgamation of 3 or so segments, depending on the segment length. And those segments are anywhere from, we actually have one called Wingin It that's based on, our personal lives and what's been going on with that if we wanted to talk to each other about that stuff. Or in the disc tray, what we're playing for video games, what we're watching for movies, what we're,
I guess that title doesn't work great for books, but we're gonna work. Yeah. We're evolving. This is an evolving process. Yeah.
In the eye sockets. And then we have at the beginning of the month, I think we'll talk about in this episode, later in this episode, we'll talk about things coming out this month, and since this is January, just things we're excited about to come out this year. What else do you guys have to add? Lots of things. We might do bad movies. Might talk about those. We might play games at the same time and talk about our experience with them. What else do you guys have to add?
Yeah, I don't know. The microphone is our oyster. I think we have a pretty good thing set up and going here, but at the same time, there's gonna be a little bit of discovery, what we like to do, what we don't like to do. So,
yeah.
And now we've kind of just unleashed the beast, as it were, where in our previous show we were very much no, we're gonna stay on topic, and we're gonna be boring, and we're gonna be informative.
And I would say it was the opposite of that towards the end.
Yeah. And exactly. And then we realized that was less fun. So we decided to just let it all out, as it were.
It's an organized mess. It's it's like my apartment.
Yeah, and so now we're just kind of we've moved the stacks around, as it were, and now it looks a little cleaner, but there's still stuff piled to the ceiling.
I am especially excited that I finally figured out how I'm going to do catchphrases on this show, which I think on the old show I was trying to do a quote from whatever I just watched, and then I realized today I was walking down the street, I have every episode of The Office just burnt into my skull, and I'm sure I have a quote from that show for anything we would talk about on a given week that I'll just have.
Also, just quick temperature check. Matt, did you know that that's what Tom was doing? Was quoting things he watched?
For me
neither.
Okay,
it's definitely thought it was gibberish. It's for him and
it's for me and those
everyone
diehards
else that
out
shares
there.
that brain disease, because he's not alone.
I mean, they were in the last show. It's just you guys just didn't know what it was at the time.
Yeah,
and that tradition continues to today.
Yeah. So, what's up? This is a weekly podcast. That's the part I forgot to mention. I mean, I did mention that, but it'll release every Wednesday And you're going to have to bear with us because we're going to be saying things from the last show. I can edit it. We won't be saying those things. I'll edit this. Look at this. The magic of editing. Now it's gone. You heard it, and it's gone now. How'd your Christmas go?
It was a lot. It was a lot.
You had everybody came to you this year, right?
Yes, for the first time we had in-laws and we had the family up, and so it was just a meeting of the minds. Two spheres of my life that haven't gotten to interact too much, but it went off without a hitch. My wife cooked so much food and then immediately passed out on the couch, and just. It was a lot of fun. It was great to see everybody. I'm glad that despite the awful weather we had, everybody got where they needed to go safely, and nothing too crazy happened, and everyone got home safe. And it was just it went about as perfect as it could.
Good. So, did your wife get to eat the food before she passed out on the couch?
She did, but she was like nodding off at the table, just
every once in a while, every few minutes, got a forehead dunk into the mashed potatoes.
But you're fine.
It's just a concave.
You save it for later.
Dent in the top. Yeah.
I was gonna say macaroni and cheese, and then I thought, was it like? Did you guys have macaroni and cheese during the holidays when you were growing up? Because it was a Carney staple. You always had macaroni and cheese.
Carney is Tom's last name. It's not profession.
No, I mean, depends on who you ask.
Yeah, I mean, in this situation, it's not a profession. Mine was pretty good. Mine was a. I think we all had something similar gift wise. Emily and I stayed home. It was pretty quiet, in a good way. Gift wise, though, I think I'm quoting one of you guys from our chat, where we had a Tim the Toolman Taylor Christmas.
Yes.
Somebody shared. Yeah, so I had a lot of that stuff and a Slinky.
Nice.
Slinky.
Everyone needs a Slinky.
Everyone wants a Slinky.
It's the OG Slinky.
You want to do?
Now wait, is it plastic or is it metal?
Oh,
it's metal.
Oh,
you could choke somebody with this. Yeah, that is. There were warnings on that box, is what you're telling me.
My steps are too wide or too long to do the step thing with it, which, that was before they started planning houses around Slinkies to be able to do the step thing.
There was a law that was passed.
Yeah, the architects have to allow stairs have to allow for Slinky travel.
Right.
It's state code. Yeah, mine was good. I went back to what are we going to call our hometown now?
Quoteburg?
Quoteburg?
I don't know.
Boxville?
Boxdown?
Boxdown. No, that sounds wrong.
Yeah, we'll call it
BQtopia.
Yeah, because that rolls off the tongue.
I mean, we could just call it hometown.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
For now. We'll workshop it.
Fine, we'll use the actual English word.
I went back to hometown for a couple days, and for my job, I always get Christmas or New Year's off, and I came back to Milwaukee. I mean, this is gonna piss everybody off, but I didn't plan anything. I don't know why.
Like, this is the internet. Everybody's already pissed off.
Yeah,
everybody's they're trying to find something to be pissed off about. So yeah.
Well, here you go. I spent like 5 straight days just me and my cat in my apartment, and when almost by the 5th day, I was starting to see like things like move in the walls and shit. But no, it was good. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Do you guys have any New Year's resolutions?
So I don't really, because I kind of don't think, and I think you guys are in the same boat, that they're that necessary. Like, you shouldn't have to wait for.
No,
I like them too, but
disagree.
It's good for a calendar day, I guess, to make yourself try to do something. But then again, you shouldn't wait. Like, shit. It's January 4th. I suppose I should wait until New Year's to really come up with.
No, I already failed January 2nd. We'll try next year.
But just the happenstance of events made New Year's resolutions for me. Emily and I had been thinking about going back to a gym for a while, and we got a gym membership late December. So I guess it's a New Year's resolution for me to go to the gym. And then also my car made a New Year's resolution for me to get a new car this year on its own of its own volition.
It decided to retire, and I respect that.
Yeah,
it's in its golden years now. I have a similar story because I didn't set any, and then I came home on January 1st, and I bought this digital keyboard that's sitting behind me, and then I also
people can't see that Tom.
Day. I'm explaining that it's sitting behind me.
Why he described what it was and its location in reference to him, the person They
Look
do know
very closely
it's a
at your
person
MP3 player
behind a mic.
And then I decided to stop drinking by myself in my apartment, just also on that day. And I think it wasn't until January 3rd I was like, oh, I did kind of just start doing these new habits again. But no, I've been trying to play piano every day. I think I might go get lessons soon. And the drinking at home thing has been mostly successful. I won't say 100% successful, but I'm sipping on a glass of ice water, right? Ice soup, as I think Matt has put it in the past.
Ew, and, I don't like that. I hope I didn't say that.
Maybe it wasn't you, but someone said that to me. Yeah, that's good.
Mine is the gym like yours, and it is currently kicking my ass. I took an extended break I was rock solid about it last year. I was doing really good, but then I had all these big life events happen where I did not want to get sick before them, and I was like, the gym is the least COVID safe thing that I can do. So it takes a very minor inconvenience for me to go, oh, I don't need to go to the gym. So these were big enough events that I didn't need that. It was more prudent not to go, just to play it safe. And just because of how they were laid out, I ended up being really intermittent at the end of the year. And then December was so booked through with seeing family or traveling that I just I don't think I went at all in December. And so now that we've flipped over the new year, now my schedule's opened up. I'm back to it, and the just the act of not going for that long has eroded almost all of my progress. Not all of it, because I can definitely, there are some moves or workouts or especially the treadmill and stuff where I can tell I've made some progress where things that used to be really hard are not too bad. But the free weights, man, just wrecked me. And then being sore the next day just destroys me.
That's what I'm in this really bad habit of doing legs day once a month, which is the exact amount of time needed to just not be able to walk the day after doing legs day.
Yeah, no. Luckily, my routine is full body every time. So I get to be completely miserable over and over again. There's not one part of my body that I can really focus on and just be like, oh, okay, if I just think about my legs, then my arms won't hurt as bad.
No, wait, is your gym, do you have to, so if you don't go and you don't schedule any classes, do you still have to pay a monthly fee?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have paid
Tom,
for
what
those
do you
classes.
think a gym is?
I was thinking
Sorry, we live under capitalism, my guy.
You don't know anything.
Yeah. No, I pay for X amount of classes a month. And then I just put them on the calendar.
Okay.
So if I don't put them on the calendar, they just get free money.
Yeah.
I've been getting really hung up on what I'm gonna go do when I go into the gym. We actually signed up for a gym that's run by the hospital here. So it's ran by people that know health and not people that are just snort protein powder and go punch things. I've been getting really hung up on a workout regimen, Googling beginner workout regimen. What should I do? Blah blah blah. And I talked to a friend of mine who's he's hot, right? Okay. He goes to the gym. He knows what he's doing. And
just his face. We're not even talking about his body. He's got a hot face, but then also on top of it, he just has everything.
Yeah, I asked him, I was like, do you have I asked him, do you have recommendations for what I should do the first time? He's like, so here's the thing. No, because just do something. Go in there and figure out what you enjoy doing, and then go in there and do that. Because if you go in and do that,
and you enjoy it, then you're going to keep doing it. So don't get hung up on like, all of this, like I have to do X amount of squats and all. Like if you hate doing squats, go in and cycle if you like that more, whatever. Like
that makes sense.
Like just as long as you're being active and doing something,
just getting there.
Like
honestly.
just start there. And I was like, so beginner workout is me walking around the gym, looking at machines and weights, sighing, and then walking to the next thing.
Back before the unpleasantness started in 2020, there would be days where I had a really good workout regimen with one of my, or he was my roommate at the time. Or no, he wasn't my roommate then. He would eventually become my roommate. And there would be days where we both wake up kind of late and we get there and I'd be like, man, let's just go get in the sauna and then take a shower and then leave. And that's literally all we would do. Get my sweat on, looked like I did, come out all like,
that's
red and hot.
Cheating. Come on. No, see, what I have to do is I have to start with the thing. There's like 3 sections to my workout. It's usually like a rowing machine, floor weights, and then treadmill. And I always start on the rowing machine because it's weird and it's fun. Because I never owned one. That thing always had a certain mystique about it. Because I was just
rowing machine?
What is this weird water bowl that I just I swish around? But it's cool.
I don't even know if I've seen one.
And
they're weird.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They're weird, but they are really nice because it works everything out. Because you're yanking on the cord, but you're pushing with your legs. And so
I have seen this. Okay, you said water bowl, and I thought actual physical water bowl.
They have water.
There's water in the front.
But they're like
the ones that I use, yeah.
Yeah, the little wheels have water in them.
And it's a paddle.
Sometimes they're just like a
so
fan.
It just like swishes the water around, and that's you're going against the water. The water resistance is the weight.
So how do you can you change the weight and make the water more resistant?
No, it's like the river. Like it's the water. The water is water. Like
well, all right. So wait,
rowing guys don't go and like, all right, get the tub full of syrup going. We're gonna go
liquid nitrogen in there.
Yeah, it's not like the last scene in the 101 Dalmatians where she's like in the molasses. Like you gotta just.
Oh my gosh, that's just unlocked like a core memory for me.
Pop culture party, buddy.
Stresses me out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
So, but aren't we stepping backwards? So I just assumed it being a weight machine that you could adjust the weight. So are we stepping backwards in technology?
Can you like adjust the fan blade? Like the angle of attack on the water.
Maybe
I
don't know. I never do. Like it. That's what I love most about my workout is that everything is taken care of for me. They just say go. Here you go, gerbil. Start running, and I love it. But what I had to say was, it's those 3 sections. I love the rowing machine. I like doing the treadmill because I do power walk. I do the incline instead of jogging because my knee complains if I run. But I hate the free weights. I hate the free weights, and so that always happens right after the rowing machine. So I start on the rowing machine every time, and then I end on the treadmill, and it's just like a crap sandwich where I have the two things I like, and then it's filled with the middle crap. But at that point, I'm stuck, and I have to stay there until the workout's done. So I just might as well get through it. And then the days where I get there, I go really early too, before work, and I'll show up, and they kind of mix things up a little bit, like the duration or the certain exercises you're doing on the floor and whatnot. And the ones that I hate are when I wake up and I go there and I'm like, okay, I'll do the rower and then I'll knock out the floor and then I'm done with it. Every now and then they do this thing where you have to bounce between the rower and the floor back and forth until time is up. And I was like, no, I thought I was done. Like you get the mental picture of you. I crossed the finish line. She's like, now go back. And I'm like, no, I earned this.
My favorite, I think I saw a tweet a long time ago that says, why do Fridays always feel like they're going by in treadmill minutes? And I don't think I have ever, it was just a perfect perfect little saying.
Treadmill minutes. That's a good way to describe things.
Also, I think the people, whoever the coaches are, seconds are different too. Especially the final 3 seconds when they're counting a workout. They're like, all right, you're going to transition in 3, 2, 2, 1. Like, you're never done when you think you're done, and you're just like, come on.
Was it someone told me the hardest part of any endurance workout is the third quarter? I was like, the third quarter and the last tenth. And I was like, yes, that makes
no
sense.
shit.
Yeah.
No shit. That's like one of those stats.
No, but like you would think just like the last quarter would just straight up be the
you're
harder.
tired.
No, but that's not what it's saying. It's like the third quarter is the hardest part. Because at the final quarter, it's like you're at least like, okay, I'm almost there. But the third quarter is like, oh my God, I have to do this all over again. And I'm still not even close to the end.
I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
It'd be better if you said like the third, fifth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Idiot.
Come on.
Like also just a metric.
All right. That sounds like we're ready to move into our first segment. The
All right,
first segment.
cue the theme.
Soon.
Cue the theme, Tom.
Cue the theme.
Take it away.
Yep,
that's the theme.
So our first segment. Let's press eject and check what's in the disc tray.
It does feel like we need to have some sort of
Oh, it
chime
definitely
there.
does. I think I'm gonna buy an audio mixer just purely so I can hook up like an iPad to it to have some kind of a soundboard or something.
You just yeah, also you have to have so much self-control with that thing. It's with great power comes great responsibility. So Matt, what were you saying before Tom interrupted?
So, what's in the disc tray is all about what are we currently playing, what have we just finished watching, things that are currently taking up our brain space. What's going on? And I see we're starting with Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I know myself and Tom have gotten really into it, and Chris has not yet dove in, but he's been very heavy into Borderlands 3 in the past. So
yeah, and I did purchase it, and I'm doing the thing when we talked about video games in the past. A good thing with me to know is that I don't know if it's OCD or what. I have the hardest time just playing something. I have to play up to it if it's in a series. And there's a DLC in Borderlands 2 that Tiny Tina's Wonderland is based on, and I have not played that yet. So now I'm like, oh my God, I have to play all the way through Borderlands 2. It's in Borderlands 2.
Wow.
You can play it as a standalone game, but I have no idea how that works just based on how Borderlands works.
I think it's fine. I have not tried it myself. I own it because it somehow showed up as one of my free games.
They gave it away free to get everybody excited for Tiny Tina's, I think, at one point.
I think it had a great arc to the story. So it was very much isolated in terms of you didn't need to know what was going on in the Borderlands 2 story in order to understand this. You just needed to be aware of Borderlands characters in general.
Yeah.
Mostly from the first game.
So I should probably just find that and download it and play it, and then I can just move around on the Tiny Tina's.
Did it come out after Borderlands 3 came out?
No.
Tiny Tina's?
No, the DLC you're talking about.
No, it was
it's
part
Borderlands
of 2.
2.
Because my only thing would be, I'm surprised your like love of playing games with friends doesn't overpower the like needing to play the first thing first. You know what I mean?
I think part of it is it would if I wasn't so balls deep into Fallout 3 right now. So, and everybody's playing Deep Rock Galactic also, which is the game I've been begging people to play for years.
I've noticed your absence when we've been playing. I'm like, does Chris know that everybody's really into this right now?
It's like we all got into GTFO and you are suddenly gone.
No, that wouldn't happen. I'd sprint. I would sprint to my computer from whatever town I was in to play GTFO with people.
But we're not talking about GTFO. We're talking about Tiny Tina's. So
Small Tina.
I think something that Chris was wondering was, how does this differ from those mainline games or 3 specifically? And it doesn't really. It's very...
I mean, it's similar, but because I've never gotten super... I've dabbled in the Borderlands.
Right.
And I had zero plans on buying this game, and then I hopped on Discord and Matt was playing.
Peer pressure.
Well, and then I watched your stream. I was like, I literally knew like nothing about this game other than it was another Borderlands game, and I was like, oh, it's like fantasy stuff, and you're like, yeah, it's like their version of D&D. I was like, okay, I guess I'll go buy it then. That was the thing that put me like I love medieval fantasy stuff, and I don't know sometimes it's just like the vibes. I just need the gameplay's there, but I just need like the vibes to be there. Like I was just watching. I wanted to. I get these urges to replay BioShock, but I know I don't actually want to play it. I just like want to be in that environment. So I just like
you want to remember how it felt like to be in 2007.
Yeah. So I just put on a blind Let's Play on YouTube and just watch somebody else play it for the first time, which is almost
I think they're speed running it as we speak.
Really?
At the current AGDQ. So. Check that out, folks, if you're in the past.
What's AGDQ?
Awesome Games Done Quick. It's the speedrunning, the biannual speedrunning competition where they fundraise a whole ton of money. I think there's 2 events per year. One of them usually does a cancer research society or cancer research benefit. And then the other one is Doctors Without Borders. At least the years that I really started paying attention to the events. I used to hate speedrunning until I understood that. I used to be all hoity-toity and high and mighty about it, where I was like, they're not playing the game, they're not understanding the story, they're just breaking it. Yeah. And but then I realized after being more exposed.
Tom's question.
After being more exposed to it, I realized that no, these people play these games for like their livelihood. Like this is. It's like, what if you had a favorite game and that's the only one you played? And there's a lot of people that have that. But what if you played it broken and just kept playing it? Because that's what they do, is they try to just smash they've played through it the quote-unquote right way before. And now they're just dismantling it and looking at it from every single angle to see what the line is through the game. And I think that's fascinating. But I digress. They're currently running BioShock and Fallout 3 tonight. So I'm going to have to go back and watch the VODs of that after we're done recording. So it is a little bit different this time. There's a little more the fantasy theming. Basically Tina is running a game of bunkers and badasses is what they call Dungeons and Dragons. And you are a nameless, faceless character that you build. And there are 2 NPCs that are they're not in the game, but you hear their voices and they chime in as you're playing. And speaking of voices, the voice acting in this game is insane. The voice cast, at least, they have Will Arnett, Andy Samberg, who's the gal?
Wanda Sykes,
like just really top tier. It's a little. At first, it kind of takes you out, but then you fall back into it. It's not too distracting.
I think if it were any actor I didn't already love, it would annoy me just because it's like, do you guys? You're probably just gonna get annoyed by this. Do you guys feel conflicted where you see like the movies come out like Red or The Expendables or whatever, where it's just like.
It's just a vehicle for the stars.
Yeah.
No, I get that unless it's something like Knives Out or Glass Onion or whatever, where they're just hamming it up and having a blast.
Yeah.
And even the ones that, like you said, the Expendables or whatnot, I'll still watch that shit.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen one of those.
You're not missing out on much.
I wouldn't say you need to run out and go
you
watch it right now.
You don't need to invest in the canon. But voice acting's amazing. I think the graphics are surprisingly like crisp. I think the Borderlands art style lends itself to aging well because of the stylized nature of it. But
I think it looks great. That was part of the other reason that kind of sold me out. I was like, wow, this game looks really good.
It really pops. It performs way better than 3 did. 3 out the gate was a broken mess.
Oh,
I was kind of expecting this one to be that way too, because the length between Borderlands games is pretty large between releases. So like this seemed like really off the heels of 3, like a lot faster than what I was expecting it to be.
I couldn't remember what the delta was in the release of 3 and the release of this one, I think there might have been a different team or like an additional team supplementing them. But because I believe the next canonical Borderlands or numbered one, however you want to think of that, is in development. But this one, it plays great, it looks great, and I think I initially passed it off as, oh, it's a DLC that they've extended into its own full game. Like, is it gonna be enough? Was my question. But it definitely is. Like, it's a full Borderlands game. It's not like a and not to knock it. What was the Far Cry 3
Blood Dragon?
It's not like that where it's just a stylized standalone thing. This is a full game. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I don't know how much else I have to say about it.
Yeah,
It looks fun. I'm excited to play it.
Yeah, we're not quite finished yet. I'm at like level 20.
Yeah, I'm not super far behind, but
I think the only other thing I want to say about it is that the class system is a little different this time around, where in the classic games you had the different characters that had, I think it was 2 or 3 skill trees each, and you could kind of swap between the 3 of them. This time you pick a class at the beginning, like a tabletop role-playing game, and then about midway through the campaign, you're able to multi-class into you basically pick a second class of, I think, 5, and then you become a hybrid class between the 2, and that's kind of neat.
The only thing I found myself wanting a little bit more is, so like the elemental effects are a little more fantasy related, but the guns are just like, no, they're just Borderlands guns. It's just Borderlands guns with like some effects that are a little bit more fantasy. And they have a little joke at the very beginning of the game where they're like, no, this is Tina's D&D game, so it's just gonna have guns, and you just have to like
have to deal with that. Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, I mean, the Borderlands guns have always been super cool, but it's like, oh, it'd be cool to have like some bows and arrows, or some like magic, more like magic wand. There is like magic wand stuff.
They've replaced all the grenades with spells.
Yeah,
and my whole class is about spell casting and dual wielding spells. I can basically have two.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
2 grenades at once, basically.
And they don't feel. They're not just like reskinned grenades.
No,
like,
no.
Actually,
they feel like spells. They feel like magic.
Yeah.
And I've just, at the last time I was playing before I set it down, I finally unlocked my first legendary spell, which is goofy as all hell and very fun. My first legendary gun
I've never
in
heard
this
Matt
game was
squeal
also
like he did when he got his first legendary gun in this game.
It was so funny though, because the legendary guns in Borderlands are always fun. They're always cool. But this one had a good joke in it where it's basically something about the little red tagline is something along the lines of manual transmission, like an engine in a car. And so it's a machine gun with 2 spinning barrels on the front, and it overheats. Instead of a reload or a magazine that I have to reload, there's a heat bar. And if it starts to overheat, I can press the down on the D-pad and switch gears, and the 2 barrels swap, and it starts firing faster. And the heat bar recedes, and then it starts building up heat again. And if it overheats again, I switch gears, and it goes faster, and it goes faster, and it's just chewing through ammunition. But if you mess up the timing, it's like letting out the clutch too early in a manual car, and you just kind of and it all falls apart, and you have to reload the whole thing again and start from the slowest setting. But very fun. It's not my best gun, but I'm going to use it until I beat the game. I don't care. But that's enough of Tiny Tina. Chris, I know you've been playing a box quote favorite, I think it's safe to say.
Platinum hit.
Fallout
Fallout
3.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Background of Fallout 3 and the 3 of us is Thomas and Matt both got Xbox 360s, probably like what, close to launch?
I want to know.
no,
It was a
nowhere
year.
close to launch.
Yeah, it was more like 2008, 2000.
Yeah, I got mine.
I thought it was like within a year of launch. No?
It came out in 06.
The
right?
360 had been out for a while. Are you talking about the launch of the console or the launch of this game?
The console.
No.
Yeah, I think it was 3 years
Well,
after launch.
I don't think I actually got to know you guys until probably after that. Anyway, so Fallout 3 was like all the way through high school, years through of high school. 2008, I think, is its release date. It was the game, right? Like everybody was talking about Fallout 3. Everybody was talking about
all of our friend group for sure.
Yep. And I was just sitting there, and I didn't get an Xbox 360 until everybody was about to move on to Xbox One. And I finally got one and got Fallout 3 and played it way after everybody else did. And I didn't really do all the exploring and all that stuff. And I just kind of mainlined the story and mainlined all of the DLCs. And I was kind of getting that Fallout itch again. And I was like, I've been feeling for a while like I should go back and give Fallout 3 like the real shake,
Mm-hmm.
And
Lick the
really
plate
explore.
clean.
Yeah, like, and do all that. I don't think I'm gonna platinum it because I think I'm gonna get every achievement except for the ones that are like reach level 8 with an evil karma character. I don't know that I'm really that interested in going back and playing it again with a different karma or something. I might in the future, but I don't know. Man, I've been loving it. It's so good.
It's so good.
And I really wanted to talk about like Fallout 3 versus Fallout 4. But I think the thing with Fallout 4 is Fallout 4 has charm. It oozes charm. It's like, hey, did you see this charm? Okay, well, you didn't, so I'm going to make sure you see this charm. Look at all this charm slapping you in the face. Do you want to hear me say charm again? Look at this charm. It's everywhere, all the Fallout charm. Yeah. Fallout 3 is way grittier.
Yeah.
It's like everything is made out of the colors gray, green, and brown.
Well, this was that 2007, 2008 era of the gray, brown sludge.
We're just starting to internalize
Gears of
9/11.
War. Everything's covered in ash.
So Fallout 3 is extremely bleak, I
Yeah.
think. Like pretty much all the way through it.
And I just think the world, I don't know if this is getting to what you're saying or not, but like and maybe just because I was younger and hadn't played as many video games, but this game, Fallout 3 and BioShock, I feel like the world just felt like so like lived in, and it still felt like a video game, but like you just felt immersed in kind of everything that's there.
Well, and I think both with Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, they feel a lot more lived in than Fallout 4. I think Fallout 4 doesn't have as much other than like dudes to kill between the settlements.
Yeah.
Whereas Fallout 3 is kind of like there's like traders going everywhere. You run into random people walking. There's some people that will come up and talk to you, and then they just say, by the way, we told you this info, now we're going to kill you. And there's like just little stuff like constantly happening. It's way easier to roleplay.
You'll just randomly hear fights like way off. You'll just hear an explosion like way off in the distance. It's like, what was that? And you'll never know. Just like the game, just like two AIs having a fight with each other somewhere off in the distance.
And Fallout 4 does that too. But it's once again subtlety versus shoving it in your face all the time. Like in Fallout 3, it's subtle. Most of the game is just quiet. It's like what you would expect the wasteland to be like, and then something explodes because two NPCs got in a fight somewhere, and you're like, oh shit, what happened? Fallout 4, you're like, well, it's this set of 10 minutes.
It feels like
When something
it feels
explodes.
like a video game, if that makes sense. Like it really, I feel like you never really feel like you're not just playing a game.
I don't know if that, I can't tell
But it might
though
be
if
an
that's
age
the
thing.
fault of the game or the fault of us just growing up.
Yeah.
That because I think 4 definitely has its moments of that lived, like Diamond City.
Yeah.
Feels more alive than Megaton does to me.
Yeah.
There's more. It makes more sense. It's like the layout makes more sense. There's a little more color. There's a little more. There's more than two characters to talk to, basically. But
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean I don't absolutely love everything about this. Like Tom's got a stream going up while we're talking, and we have the stream muted, but I can hear the voices of each of these characters like right in my head.
Yeah. Well, this is the only game I think I platinumed with the DLC.
Yep.
Like I know like I've platinumed other games, but I don't know if I've platinumed it like with the DLC. And I'm not the kind of guy that like platinums a lot of games.
Yeah. I was kind of with the charm thing though. I think that Fallout 3 has just as much charm as Fallout 4. I think it just knows exactly when to show it and when to pull it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like cuz like, you know, like Fallout 4, there's something zany going on with every location. But 3, sometimes it's just a decrepit building full of feral ghouls, and it's just dark and depressing, and there's nothing really going on in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's like with Fallout 3, like part of the charm is like when something cool happens, it doesn't feel forced at all. Like it does a little bit in Fallout 4. Like I don't know if you guys...
because there's gaps between the cool things.
Yeah.
You're like, this makes it more special. Whereas Forge almost overdoes it with every single spot is a spectacle.
Yeah. And even the spots in between are still fun, which is I think the issue I had with New Vegas where like half of that game I felt like was just like walking through sand. And I know people love that game, and I've always been meaning to go retry it as an older person, but
it kind of depends on what you're into. I think Fallout New Vegas is a lot better RPG, role-playing, talk to people, be a character game. Fallout 3, I think, blends really well between that and running around and shooting things and blowing things up. Fallout 4 is running around and shooting things, blowing things up. That's the game.
And it was before, nothing for Fallout 3 was spoiled for me. I don't know if you guys ever got the thing where the alien blaster just like falls out of the sky like a meteor and just like leaves a trail of the ammo behind it, and
I don't know
just
if
like a random thing.
I didn't find it until after the Alien DLC had already come out.
Okay, and I can't remember. It might have been part of Zeta. I don't remember if
it was part of the base
game. They made
game.
a better one when Zeta came out. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Fallout 3, like I just remember sitting and listening to you guys like come in and say, "I found this thing. This was crazy." Like this guy was shooting at me from some like church top, and then he had a cool right. Did you guys find that? Like everybody talking about that, and I have not heard another game talked about that way until Elden Ring.
Exactly. I was just gonna say that I haven't had the feeling that you can't spoil this game.
Yeah.
Or there are certain spots you can spoil maybe in that main storyline, but the idea that yes, I want my friends to tell me what they did because else I'm not going to find it. It's too big. It's too expansive.
Yeah.
I'll never run out.
Like more organic than like the game developers thinking, I want this cool moment to happen. How do I? Okay, what are steps A? I want step D to happen. Okay, now let's go figure out what steps A, B, and C are. Whereas this game feels a lot about it's like, I don't know, like stuff's gonna happen or it won't happen, and that's what makes it special.
We have a step Q out here for some reason. We don't know why, but it's there and it's rad.
Yeah. But yeah, I've just been loving it, and it's a little clunky. I really don't care for repairing weapons. I
did the bottle cap hack for that. Like that was one of the. There's a few games where it's like I don't have qualms about doing cheats. Like I think every Fallout, every Bethesda game, I immediately go in and just put carry weight up to 99999. Like I don't. It doesn't bother me at all.
You apostate.
And then Fallout 3, there's a hack. I mean, it's just like a kind of a loophole that the game developers didn't see, where you can. I can't remember exactly how it worked, but you can sell and buy back things in a way where you can sell them for more money than you'll buy them back for. So as long as like the merchant that you're selling to still has money, you can just keep. I just always had this like piece of shit rocket launcher, and I just sell it and buy it back and sell it and buy it back to the point where you can just like max or take all their bottle caps. So it didn't totally break it because it's still like no one ever had more than 500 bottle caps on them at a time, but it was a way where you kind of get away with that.
And at least you didn't run into the same thing that one of our friends did, where they played New Vegas and we were all talking about like, oh, what did we like more about New Vegas? What did we like about 3? Kind of like what we're talking about now with 4. And he goes, I'm really glad that they finally added the thing where you can repair guns not at the store. Yeah. And we look at him and we go, what? And he's like, normally you had to go all the way to a store and pay them to repair your weapons. And we said, no, in the Pip-Boy, as long as you have another weapon of that kind, you could field repair. And he goes, I never knew that. He just never found it until New Vegas. I think they must have changed the UI a little bit to make it more obvious.
I have 2 examples like that with this, more examples of that. One was me. I didn't know that you could hold A to drink water. I just tapped A and then took a slurp and then tapped A and then took a slurp. And then one of our mutual friends didn't know about VATS at all.
Oh, wow.
Like for his entire playthrough. And like, this game is old enough that the shooting mechanics, like, you don't want to not be using VATS.
Well, also
it's a dice. It's still the dice roll system. They used to make video games on like dice roll system, just like D&D.
No. They're trying to emulate Fallout's 1 and 2, which were turn-based combat. And they were just dice rolls based on your stats.
Yeah, so sometimes you'd have the reticle on somebody and shoot, and it would just not hit them. Like, just because based on your stats and your numbers and your gun and all that stuff. Right? In Fallout 3? I mean, that seems to be the experience I'm having.
Oh, no,
it definitely is.
VATS, so if I didn't use VATS, I was throwing grenades.
Yeah, Fallout 4, you really don't need VATS. I don't think.
No. Though I did think it was cool how they did with 4, where instead of it freezing everything, they just slowed time down.
Yeah. I just remember
it did piss me off sometimes though, because when I was still making a decision, somebody's head would like go behind it. They'd be running and they'd go behind a light pole, and then it'd just go 0. I was like, I was like, do I get out of VATS and go back in, or do I just wait for them to move past the light pole?
Gosh, I forgot about the bobblehead stand you can have in your house. That, like, when I platinumed this
I wanted
game,
that in real life.
The background of my phone was my completed, and it was, this is back in like 2010, so it was me taking a picture with my piece of garbage cell phone and like taking a picture of the tube TV screen, and that was the background of my phone. So I was so proud of it.
It was an accomplishment.
It was. The other thing I just remembered.
I'm not letting myself look up bobbleheads, and I have like 5 left.
Oh, you got it, man. You got it. That was, I think,
if it takes too long, I'm gonna look them up. But
yeah, I mean, if you get through the end of everything, that was the thing how I played it with Bobble. Because the other thing with bobbleheads is some of them, after you complete a quest, you can't go back, so you're gonna have to create another character to go get them. But yeah, I keep trying to think. I remember being so harsh on Fallout 4, and I'm having a hard time remembering why. But I also
a lot of people don't really like the story. I've heard the story like really amounts. It
doesn't matter. Your choices don't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing too with Fallout 4 that I really don't like compared to Fallout 3 is the karma system. I think the karma system in Fallout 4 sucks. It's basically just like, so in Fallout 3, if you do something generally good or generally bad, you get like good karma or negative karma, and the world reacts to you based on what your karma is. So like if you do generally good things, you start to get ranks in like good karma, being like paladin, paragon, like savior of the wastes, like stuff like that. Or I've never played evil, so I don't know what it's called, but like like you can listen to the radio station and people talk about you on the radio station, like based on whether or not you're a good person or not, or they like you or don't like you or whatever. And Fallout 4, it's just like Fallout 3, there's not very many followers. Fallout 4, there's like all kinds of follower partners that you can get. And what you do, the game kind of just, I guess, assumes that you're always going to have one. So what the decisions you make
are reflected based on their personalities.
Yeah, based on, so like if you wanted to role play a good character, you just grab a good follower and bring them with you. If you wanted to just suddenly now switch to a bad character, just grab an evil aligned follower and just do evil shit in front of them, and they'll be like, yeah, get it. You know what I mean? I just felt like that was very dumb. I don't know. I felt like that made it not as good
as far as like picking a character and role playing and staying with it. Like it made it feel a lot less like an RPG.
I think people were also just upset that the changes they made to the dialogue system, where instead of in Fallout 3, you basically had a list of text options, which I understand why they did it, because they went with a fully voiced player character.
I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it because like the thing that annoyed me is the guy would say something different than what you clicked on, but it wasn't like he was saying something way longer. Like he would click on a sentence and then the guy would say like a different sentence that was like of the same kind of general idea. But it was like, why do this? That didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and I even had one point where I saved it and then kept loading a save and clicking the other options. And then the NPC responded in exactly the same way no matter what you said. Oh, yeah,
but that's going to happen in a lot of games.
Yeah, but I mean, but it was like constant in Fallout 4. I would say in Fallout 3, like it was...
It's like, what's even the point of having the voice? It is one of those things, though, where I got... Because I was on the Fallout subreddit all the time when Fallout 4 came out, and it was like... It's annoying because you'll dislike something, but Reddit hates it so much more, you get annoyed, and you're like, it's fine, whatever. It's not a bad thing. But what I was trying to get at was that game ran like absolute dog shit on the Xbox when it came out. Oh my gosh. I think that was actually the biggest thing that turned me off, is like the one, like the factions literally not mattering at all. And then two was, I mean, if you got into a fight, like a big fight, I mean, it would chug at like 15 frames a second. It was awful. It ran like garbage. But then, like, I just remember in Fallout 3, I would just like play in the game. Like I would like gather up as many landmines as I could, and then I would do the thing that you saw on YouTube where you just loaded up as many as you possibly could on top of Tenpenny Tower and just saw how far you could launch Tenpenny. And then or I would like I'd find like a really long hallway and I'd pile up a bunch, and then I'd tell like Fox to stay on top of the landmines, and then I'd like make a domino breadcrumb trail of landmines all the way back to like the front of the building, and then set one off, and then I'd go poof, 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 then boom, and then Fox would go brain. So I don't know. Like I just I would make my own fun in that game.
I would fill bathtubs full of money. The pre-war money, because you'd find it laying around, and I would do that, and I would decorate my house. I would just play Animal Crossing in the post-apocalypse.
That was one thing that Fallout 4 did right.
Yes.
Do you guys think that that's because you are an adult? You don't do that as much anymore?
I think that's part of it.
I think that's definitely part of it. I don't think it's all of it.
So the other thing that I think is good and bad about Fallout 4, especially, is Fallout 3, it's kind of like they just dropped the leash. It's like, go. Do the thing. We've made this place for you. Just go and look at it however you want. Fallout 4 is like, hey, you have to come back to your village every 5 minutes to make sure nobody's starving to death, or somebody's not too dumb to like do this thing or whatever. There was like this building a village system and management that like I always felt like if I was out adventuring, I had to go back and manage something there. Like, and then if I was doing that for too long, then I needed to go out and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was always tied back to whatever village I was working on. And then it eventually got to like as you build up, because like Fallout 4 kind of has this theme of like rebuilding the wasteland, because it's got like a, for lack of a better term, Minecraft-y kind of village settlement building thing. When you got so many, and they all had problems all at the same time, or like in tandem or whatever, it just became a constant, okay, I have to fast travel this one and defend it. Okay, I have to jump over here and some people showed up, so I got to increase the defenses. Okay, I got to go over here. They don't have enough food. I got to make sure they have food. And then it felt like it was more of a management sim than it was a Fallout exploration RPG game. You know what I mean? Did you guys ever get that feeling in 4?
I don't think I ever got...
I wasn't as bogged down by it nearly as much as some people.
Well, and I had one character. I had like 2 characters where one I just did story stuff, and then I had another character that was just the settlement stuff.
But didn't that lock you out of parts of either?
I mean, like I would get far. I think I just like mainlined, because isn't there like a settlement quest line? I think I like mainlined that.
They'll teach you how to do one settlement, and then I think the first time I played it, I barely touched the settlement building stuff at all.
Yeah, me too.
And just played through the game. And then on subsequent playthroughs, I focused more on that, or when I was trying to achievement hunt. But it never got to the point where people will rag on one of the followers, Preston, because he's a militiaman and he runs one of the... He kind of walks you through that first settlement mission. And I think...
Another settlement needs your help.
Yeah. I never got that.
Like,
or
great.
I didn't travel with him, and then B, I would just ignore it all.
I think I just
It
ignored
has
it.
nothing to do with.
I just
it has
didn't
nothing
do
to do
it.
with traveling with him. It has to do
I
with the
thought
fact
his
that you go
dialogue would
home.
pop up.
You go home, and he just kind of leans up to you,
I
like
always-
Pennywise.
I always
He's like,
told-
"There's another
Can't you just
settlement
ignore
that
him,
needs your
though?
help."
No, I assigned
Yeah.
him. I assigned him to a settlement that I never went to, and so I never had to
Oh.
run into him again.
Oh my god! By the way, the category. So Fallout 3, the only NPC that I would say I got annoyed by, and here's the kicker, because it's the only NPC you can't avoid, is if you fix Megaton. So Megaton is a town that's built around a non-detonated nuclear bomb. It's still active. It just hasn't detonated yet, and that's like one of the big choices in the game. You could blow up Megaton and get a apartment in Tenpenny Tower, or you can save them and get a house in Megaton. If you save Megaton and you do good things in the wasteland, there's a random Megaton settler just runs up every single time you enter Megaton. They're like, "You're such a good person. We got together and gave you this." And it's like
A Cheeto.
it's like 6 10mm bullets. You're like, "Thanks." Or it's like a Salisbury steak that's gone bad for 200 years or something like that. And it's just that person. I'm always like, go away. Like, I don't want this. Like, I'm just gonna turn around because I got my weight to like a good spot. I'm just gonna turn around and put it back in my house and go back. Fallout 4 is rife with these people in the villages, especially Mama Murphy.
Oh, I was just about to say.
If I could make Mama Murphy a real person just so I could kill her in real life.
Jesus,
I absolutely
Jesus.
would. She is so annoying. She's like, it's
You
like
can
until
turn
you
her
can-
off. Like you can make her like you can try to force her off the drugs, and you like I think just force her off the drugs, or B, you make her so mad that she doesn't talk to you anymore.
Not unless you pass the speech checks, though. It's at that point in the game I didn't put enough in the speech yet.
That's your own fault.
Every frickin' time you go to Sanctuary, she comes and finds you and goes, "You're tied to this place, kid. Your energy." And you're just like,
Yeah, see,
yep.
see,
And
okay,
then it's
I
every
see
single
where you went
time
wrong.
go,
I
the
see where
color
you
of
went
my
wrong.
energy's blue. Ha ha ha, you know?
I
Like,
did Sanctuary. I did the mission that Tom's talking about, where you build up Sanctuary and you call it a day. And then I just used the Red Rocket Garage from the rest of the game. I never went back to Sanctuary.
I don't really
Yeah.
understand what the point. Like, that's the thing. If you're into the settlement stuff, then yeah, like you're into the. But if you're not into the settlement stuff, I felt like it was just a piece of the game that you could just like throw in the trash and then just go do the main stuff. Because I didn't think there's anything game mechanics wise that you really needed in Sanctuary. When you could just go like anywhere that had a power
store.
armor stand, yeah, or like a store. You just did that.
But the thing is, I think part of my problem with 4, sort of in that sense, which is definitely a personal thing, is that I love like games like Valheim and Minecraft and Terraria and stuff like that. So I would easily let myself get distracted by all of it.
Yeah.
And then I put like 50 hours into the game, and then I get bored with Fallout 4 and not have finished it yet again. You know.
I mean, you don't even need to finish it. The ending is. It's not. I don't want to say it's a bad ending.
Everybody
It's
poo-poos.
just very gray.
There's just there's a couple things that could push it in the right direction, but I to wrap this up, I think my main fault, story-wise, is it gives you, like you said, Chris, it gives you this wide open playground, but the overarching story is someone stole your child. And you're like, nah, my kid can wait. I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna solve a mystery with Detective Robot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I hated that, and games games like
it's kind of like another great example of that is it's kind of like in Batman Arkham City when Hugo Strange starts blowing up the city and sending his helicopters. You're like, I'm gonna go do the Victor Zaz thing now. Go and answer the payphones.
or even Mass Effect 3 where shit is going down, like the universe is crumbling, and I'm chasing armor colors or something because no, this is more important. It's weird when a game has a wide open world to explore, but a very driven storyline that you want to kind of address.
Yeah,
I always
like
get torn
role-playing
between
wise.
that. Yeah,
role-playing wise, it's what you would do. You know?
Right. So,
but anyway, that's our Fallout 3. I knew that it was going to get big when we started talking about it because we all have a lot to say.
I mean, it's
about
still to this day my favorite game of all time. I think it will be forever.
It is my second favorite game of all time, but we will get to that at another time, another point.
Matt's second favorite game
because I'm great.
Hipster Matt is hipster.
Tom, what have you been watching? Bring us if we're already time traveling, bring us back a little further.
Well, this is something I wasn't going to spend a ton of time talking about, but I just finished. That was another thing. Just like quick side note on the show is like, how much, like, do we try to do a balance with like, talking about games that came out in like 2008 and games that came out recently or whatever? But we can talk about it another time. But yeah, I just last night finished the series finale of Mad Men, and neither of you watched that show, so I won't take up a ton of your time talking about it. But damn, that show's good. That's a good-ass show.
Wow, your opinion has completely changed in the last couple days that I've been talking to you.
What did I say about it before?
You said, I feel like awful because I'm trying to finish this show.
No, don't get me wrong. Okay, well, like the ending, without spoiling, I don't think that it's a spoil. Like the ending gives you like a pretty satisfying closure.
Okay.
But the last season is split up into two halves, and the second half is like, it's just rough.
Can you give me the elevator pitch, like the 2-sentence pitch of Mad Men? Because all I've seen of this show, the only vibe I get is guys in suits sitting, drinking scotch, complaining about their wives.
Yeah, I would say.
Okay, I nailed it.
I mean, yes, that is a big part of the show, but I would say the overall theme is like coming to grips like with what actually makes you happy in a professional and like an executive and / professional world, is what I would say. And the characters are crazy, interesting, and well thought out. John Hamm's acting is phenomenal. Like,
you could say he goes ham.
You could say. So I was watching a review of it, and the guy said, like, how some, like, if someone was talking about me, they would say like the Carney portrayed the scene. They say the Ham portrayed the scene. I'm like, you can't say the Ham portrayed the scene in this way. But like, geez Louise, that guy just with his face can, just fill an entire episode with tensity, tensity.
Sensation.
Thank you.
No.
No, that show it's super good, but it is I have the same issue with Breaking Bad, where it's just like, who do I root for? Like, I don't even like anybody anymore.
I've pretty much just come to terms with the fact that I'm never going to watch Breaking Bad, and that's okay.
I don't think he would like it, honestly. Yeah, I can't rewatch Breaking Bad. I might rewatch Mad Men, but I don't think I'll ever be able to rewatch Breaking Bad again. But Matt, what's on the menu?
Okay, real quick. I'm not gonna go too far into this, but I missed it in theaters. Luckily, in our current landscape post-COVID, you barely have to blink before a movie goes out of theaters and onto some streaming service. Yeah, and the menu hit HBO. First week of this year, I want to say.
You don't need to see it in theater. There's some that come out immediately on TV. It's like, you need to go see this one in theaters, but this one's like, nah, watch this one at home.
No. Yeah, it's a dark comedy, horror,
like black comedy,
yeah, however you want to describe that genre.
Gallows humory. Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, it's a thriller with gallows humor.
Yeah, and the trailer. I saw the trailer and I was like, this is going to be this movie has everything I want in it. And I'm so excited, and I hope it lives up to my expectations, but I know it probably won't. And then I watched it, and I intentionally set down my phone because I thought to myself, I do not want to be checking Twitter. I don't want to be.
Wow.
I want to be like immersed in the film.
That's the real reason you go to the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I set it down and I just said, let me try to get into it. And it was perfect. It hit every note that I wanted it to hit. Just about. I have a small quibble with one character, but everything else, everyone acted their ass off. And the jokes land, the horror lands, the tension lands, everything works. So if you like spookier, and not like ghost spooky,
It's just like a psychological thriller almost.
Psychological thriller kind of thing. Heartily recommend it. Heartily recommend it. Go watch it. It's great. Yeah, and finally, Chris, it looks like you've been watching something gross.
Really, yeah, gross. Like The Menu, I would say it's quite
Also horror.
Okay. Yeah. So
It's a horror to me.
Yeah.
Emily and I have almost finished Big Mouth, and it's in the same vein as the other things of Mad Men and The Menu, so we're not very diverse here. Just kidding. It's not
Prestige television.
Yeah, so Big Mouth, the premise is like it's on Netflix. It's been going for a little while. It's like middle school aged teens going through hormones and puberty and all of that. That's the original pitch. So it's very funny. I think the humor is awesome. So that definitely like kept me through the cringe beginning stuff until I was just used to it. And the cringe beginning stuff, like, it definitely has nudity of children and adults, but also children. So and
We
it
already said it's a cartoon, right?
it's a cartoon.
I hope so.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I said that. It is a cartoon. So here's the thing, though. Like, the nudity sequences
Are tasteful.
they even make fun of themselves. No, they even make fun of themselves in a sense of like, did we make the show animated so that we couldn't get sued about, like, whatever? And the thing is with the nudity stuff is it's not sex. It's not sexual. It's like this girl is experiencing her period for the first time or something like that.
Body horror is what you're saying.
A little bit. But like, no, it's just like, so this will wrap up what the nudity is like. I think that Big Mouth, and this is why I wanted to talk about it, is the best sex education in the United States right now, because it is very realistic, and this is what happens. This is what they're going through. There's a very cute way that it's portrayed with like hormone monsters that are just
Personifications.
Personifications
what they're going
of
through.
Yeah, and then as the show develops in its intelligence, which it doesn't actually take that long to do, you start getting Depression Kitty and Anxiety Mosquito and the Shame Wizard. And like, so it ends up being like these kind of like shoulder angel, shoulder devil type things where, like, if somebody's going through a lot, like the whole cast is in the room because they're all like arguing with each other, representing their brain.
It's like Inside Out, but crude.
Yeah, exactly. That is a
Okay.
perfect way to describe it. And it's very, very, very good. Like, to the point of, like, we're watching the spinoff. There's a spinoff season called Human Resources, because basically all the hormone monsters and all of the emotional people work in a building called Human Resources. And it's like their job, and they all have clients, so they bounce around to different people, and like there's a love bug and all this stuff. But it goes through it, like a reoccurring character throughout that season is this woman who is having a baby, and she's trying to be a working mom, and she is like going through all this stuff, like postpartum depression, all this stuff. Like, it really
really like teaches you a lot about not only what you went through, but also what people go through that don't have the same situation as you, like women or, people of the LGBTQ plus community, like things like that. It's I think that's part of the reason why I love it so much. If it was just stupid with like Family Guy humor, except every now and then the kids got naked.
I really wish you would stop saying that as the key part. Real quick, I saw on YouTube today, which is hilarious. Today, there's a couple guys who they discuss anime, and they go, people think that we're weird for watching anime when there's shit like Big Mouth out, and you're saying that Naruto makes me a creep, but that's not creepy. Like,
who's saying Naruto makes people like? I don't know. That's somebody that to me, that's somebody who's being misinformed.
I feel like everybody still says this about Big Mouth, though. Is the thing.
Yeah, the thing I think is creepy is when people like wear shirts with hentai on them.
Of course.
Like,
but I don't know. I think it's quite literally the big mouth so that I can't get over. I will not. I won't be able
to. It's gross to watch, even without the nudity. It's kind of gross to watch.
The animation style reminds me of Ren and Stimpy, and I just can't get over it.
Yeah, and it did take me a little bit to get over that, but like, I don't know. In hindsight, this may have been a weird one to talk about for episode 1 of our new show.
You think?
But the
message is good, is what you're saying.
That's the thing, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it, is because what's kept me watching it is the message. Because there's lots of shows like that I can go watch, But like, it's just kind of cool. Like Nick Kroll, the creator, it's like him and there's this other kid named Andrew, and it was based on him and his friend named Andrew growing up.
Oh, fun.
And I hope to God that his friend Andrew growing up is not very much like the Andrew in the show.
All right. So now it's time for the final segment of today's episode.
I thought he was having an episode.
Was that the music?
Ready.
Or was that you announcing this? Oh, it really sounded
I thought you were
like...
trying to say monthly preview. And we were like, uh-oh, does Tom smell smoke?
No, that was me. Doesn't sound like the Nintendo music to you guys?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. It just sounded like you...
It sounded like you were choking on a banjo.
So this segment, monthly preview, I kind of mentioned at the beginning, we're just going to kind of rapid fire. We're towards the end of the episode here. We're just going to rapid fire through things that are releasing this month. And then we have a section that is kind of like our most anticipated stuff for the year. Monthly preview coming soon to a theater near you. Persona 4 Golden, not to a theater, but to something else. Switch?
Yeah. It's coming
Game
to
Pass.
It's basically coming to everything that it hasn't already released on and Game Pass.
Cool. I have not played any of the Persona games. I'm not a big turn-based guy. Sounds like Matt's going to make me do it, though.
Unfortunately, a upcoming segment of the Box Quote podcast is going to be me. I am purchasing Persona 4 Golden for the Switch for both of these boys so that they can experience it as I experienced it on a handheld. Much bigger screen than I experienced it, however.
The Vita? How small was the Vita?
The Vita's still pretty damn huge for a handheld back in that day, but I mean, the Switch is going to look awesome on it, I think. Or it's going to look awesome on the Switch. But
also, when I put my Switch on top of the case, it's going to look awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was a bad joke.
Okay.
This is going to look awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
0 for 2, Tom.
0 for 2. Just
0 for 2. And
quit while you're behind.
I'm smart. You're dumb.
And then...
looks like we got a new Chris for this show.
Yeah, here we go. Uh-oh. And then while they're playing Persona 4 Golden, I'll be playing Persona 3 Portable because that is the one of the... There's, they're numbered 3, 4, 5, but I think 1 and 2 are quite different. It's kind of like Fallout in the sense where I don't know if the DNA... I think the DNA that has made them popular was really baked in at 3 and carried forward. So I don't know if I need to ever go back to 1 and 2. But because I've already beaten 4 and 5, I definitely want to see 3. See if the magic's still there, even for an older series of it. But I'm definitely excited.
And then Fire Emblem Engage. Don't know anything about Fire Emblem.
We have a friend of the show that is very excited for this. I did read some of the previews, or I don't know if it was a review or preview anymore. Everyone's taken away their numbers. But apparently, for early on in the Switch's life cycle, there was Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and people loved it. It's the normal Fire Emblem turn-based combat stuff, and the make your soldiers date to make them stronger stuff. But it was in a school setting, and so there was a lot of the different houses and the different personalities between these different groups, and you're mixing and matching and all this stuff. The dating aspect of 3 Houses, people were blown away by, and I think this one, in a vibes sense, feels more like the earlier games in the series, is a little more combat focused.
And then after that, which sounds kind of mixed on people's reception of it, is Forspoken, the new Square Enix action adventure game featuring.
So cool for it.
I really want to like it. I want it to be good. I know the internet spent a good week, I want to say, just dumping on a trailer of Forspoken, as well as a bit of extended gameplay, because the one problem that may prevent me from enjoying it is it seems like the character does a quip every every 5 moves, and you're just jumping around. If you kill an enemy, there's a quip. If you pick up an item, there's a quip. If you skip over a rock, there's a quip.
Just warm up with some Gears of War, and then you'll be fine.
I see. Yeah, that's what I'm scared of.
Is it bad? Is there a lot of that in that?
In Gears
I've
of
never
War?
played Gears of War game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, lock and load them, boy.
Sure.
That every single time.
Stuff like that. But also, people keep pointing out it's got a Whedon-esque writing style to it. Early Avengers. Everything's got to be a joke. Everything's got to be
shit drives me crazy.
Tongue-in-cheek. So we'll see. I think the traversal and the spell stuff seems awesome, and it makes me want a PS5, but we'll see.
And then after that, we have the so real quick to mention the dates of the games that we already talked about. We've got on January 19th is Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable hitting Game Pass. Fire Emblem Engage is on January 20th. Monster Hunter Rise hits Game Pass also on January 20th. Matt's a big fan. I've yet to play it. I have it on PC. And then after that, Forspoken hits consoles or releases fully on January 24th, and the Dead Space remake, which is the more Chris Fenton speed of game out of this January list.
Okay, when it says remake, is that like a reboot, or is it just remastered?
It's a rebuilt from the ground up.
It's rebuilt from the ground up, but it is the same. It is the same story, same gameplay.
Because I did have a thought today while I was watching BioShock. I was like, it's really curious that we don't we reboot movies and like make them like this spiritually the same, but they're not the same movie. But we don't do that. I was like, I wonder what that would look like with video games.
We do that with video games. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know where you've been.
Like
remaster, remake. The Last of Us has come out like 7 times at this point.
No,
but
I don't
it's the
think
same
that's what
game.
Tom's saying.
It's just
the same game with a glow up.
Yeah, I'm saying
What are you
like
talking
Mad
about?
Max Fury Road versus like the original Mad Max.
But BioShock is a spiritual successor to System Shock.
Yeah, but it's not like directly. It's not like this. If like they weren't advertising to like wider audiences. If you like System Shock, it's like oh, I love that movie in the '80s. Maybe this new one will be good. Like
I feel
are
like
you
games
you're
just
saying,
do that. Mario Odyssey is Mario 3D, but
yeah,
Everybody stop
bigger
talking.
and better.
What Tom is saying is like completely rebuilt. Like we have a remake
of this movie, it's the same movie with different actors and modern technology.
Right.
We don't have that a lot with games where it's completely rebuilt, not just a remastering or bringing up to resolution or anything like that.
I'm looking at my Steam library right now. I have BioShock and I have BioShock Remastered. I have
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
He's saying.
It's not like Lord of the Rings in 4K. It's like
Lord of the Rings redone with different actors, like completely
and like
different
a new
shot,
script,
different.
but just like the same movie, just like with a similar or just like with a different
Halo
vision.
Chief Master Collection. Does that count?
No,
No, because it's the same thing. It's like
but
the
you
exact
can't
same.
swap out actors. I don't understand what you're talking. Like they rehauled the whole graphic. You could press that button, and it would swap between old and new.
I don't know how to explain it more clearly.
Here's a good example: original Resident Evil 2 and the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yes.
All the things that Resident Evil are going through.
Yeah.
Yes, but think about the difference.
Okay,
Like,
but those
new
exist. That's what
voice
I'm saying. Like, it's a whole
Yeah.
new. It's new gameplay, or it's the same name. But Doom. What about Doom?
Doom is a good example. Doom is a
Okay,
good
thank you.
example.
I
example.
felt like I was going insane.
But it's not
Matt,
like
you
as
were-
prevalent. It's not. Doom is a good example, but it's not
Okay.
as prevalent. Like with movies, I feel like it's all the time.
I think it's hard to distinguish between a remake and a sequel. So, like Animal
No.
Crossing.
It's not. I
No,
don't think.
in video games. So, Mad Max Fury Road is not an existing Mad Max story.
No.
It was
Yeah.
its own new
That wasn't
thing.
a great example. I will give it to you. That one wasn't a great example. Like King Kong or like the Titanic. There have been multiples of those where it's like technically the same story, but just told in like with someone else's
Told in
vision.
a newer,
Yeah.
fresher way. Okay. I think I understand what you're saying, but it's still making me
There's a little bit
like,
of a nuance to it.
blowing my
Doom
gas.
is a really good
There's-
example. I
there's
think
a-
that's the
there's-
only one.
I know the difference between a remaster and a remake. Like a remaster is
That's where I felt like I was about to have an aneurysm.
Spit and polish.
Yeah.
That's where you just clean the systems, the underlying code is the same, but you make everything look clean and pretty. A remake is from the ground up new code, which is like this Dead Space thing. It's the same game, but with new technology. Yes?
And like
Yes.
new like what it's like what if Hideo Kojima decided he wanted to make
Okay.
a BioShock?
So you're saying the mechanics would also be different or updated.
Yeah. And like it could still be, the same, it'd still be Andrew Ryan and like sort of the same characters, but it's just, like a different vision.
Now Tom kind of lost me a little bit.
Thanks. Okay, good. Because
There's not, it's one of those things where it's like, shoot, it's like genres, not genre, what's the thing? It's like, genres isn't the exact word, but it's like genres don't exist. It's actually like there are things where we like put things in a box and we say like this is what this is, but it's really just a list of things. There's not actually a list of characteristics that it has to fit into to fit a genre.
wait. Okay, no. Okay, I see the distinction. Because I was about to yell at you for Fallout 3 is taking a completely different game and making it their own spin on it, but it's not the same storyline. Is that the differentiating?
Yeah,
Fallout 3 is
Line
its
there.
own
movies
game, though.
and like this is where it's like it's apples to oranges a little bit because it's like movies will always be movies, but like a video game made in 1982 is just a vastly different. I mean, like it's like almost a different medium than it is in 2023.
So, and that's what I think you're saying about like what you're talking about is if someone took the first Fallout game verbatim, the story, the characters, everything, and applied it to modern game technology, where it's like a first-person shooter and not turn-based.
But then you're
or
changing.
whatever.
You're changing genres. Is that the distinction? Because this Dead Space thing has all new technology.
right, but like.
I had a moment where I was like, "This is way too in the weeds for the listeners," but it's okay because there's no listeners left at this point.
No, this is what they want. They want.
I mean,
this
I would.
fight.
So this is where it kind of becomes like there's no real definition of characteristics of what I'm trying to describe. It's like you know when you see it. Like I would say,
That's convenient for winning
I
an
would
argument.
say it
but
is.
okay.
I would say like the reason I would disqualify a Dead Space remake, if I understand what it actually is like you could put the original Dead Space and the Dead Space remake side by side and basically press the same buttons and get the exact same like video and like different. I say video because I'm like thinking of somebody actually making a YouTube video of this, but like basically, like if you had a controller that went to 2 Xboxes and one had the remake and one had the original, like the exact same thing would happen. Like it didn't matter which one you're looking at, like from a gameplay perspective.
Right. You're saying that's a remake?
I'm saying that's why it doesn't fit into this thing
that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
That may or may not exist.
It exists in my head.
Okay.
It's weird. I've never been part of a conversation where I so effortlessly go back and forth between the sides because everybody's saying confusing things. Anyway, Dead Space Remake comes out on January 27th. All of that to just
You'll just have to play it and find out what it is because we don't know.
I'm pretty excited for this one. It's not going to be... I think, like, as far as, like, genre and everything, like, coming out, Callisto Protocol did not get real good reviews, which came out last year, right at the end of last year. And Resident Evil 4 Remake comes out in, like, February, so I think I'm going to wait for that one, personally. Resident Evil 4 Reimagining, I would say, because it's, like, different story and tone. Like, not different story, but they're making modern changes to the story and tone.
And gameplay.
I
think that's our distinction. That's our sticking point.
Yeah, so movies. We only have 3 listed here that are kind of like our the things that...
These are the only things that caught my eye during the prep.
Megan came out 3 days ago at the time of recording on January 6th. I thought this movie looked like hot dog shit.
Yeah.
And it's getting pretty solid reviews.
Matt sent me a tweet, but it was real soon after like people started reviewing it. So I want to look it up again.
The online sentiment, the zeitgeist, if you will, has been extremely positive, at least on my Twitter feed.
As soon as I saw her floss,
it sells at 94%. Yeah.
Okay. See,
that's crazy to me.
A friend of the show has gone and seen it and enjoyed it, had a good time. I don't know if it I don't think it blew anyone away. But
it blowed him away.
Would you shut up? But the one thing that I did see that I'm definitely on board for is someone did a split screen between Megan from this movie and the villain or the entity from Malignant, and they want a Freddy vs. Jason style mashup of these two horror entities. I think the comic books have taken over the whole universe smushing shtick away from horror, who really owned it to begin with. And we need to pass that baton back and really let Megan throw down with the Scream guy or something. Ghostface.
Also, I should give the caveat, are we kind of only mentioning movies that are like kind of the nerd? We're occupying the nerdy space.
That is kind of like
right?
the one thing I feel like we're having trouble branding is like when we say like a pop culture podcast, we're not talking about like the last episode of the Kardashians or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And what I grabbed were the things that are A, coming out this month, and B, that made sense for us to talk about. And
and I'm looking at, there's lots of things coming out this month, but almost like none of it.
It's all trash. That's why there's only 3. I did my due diligence.
So, and then after that we've got the subtle art of not giving a pound sign, @ sign, %sign, exclamation point.
Great.
I haven't seen the
SEO.
trailer, but it just like makes me feel gross.
Did you read the book? Because I remember you bringing it up.
I liked the book.
See?
It was fine. But like, it's like, does it need to be a movie kind of thing? Like, it feels. I haven't seen the trailer. He kind of tells his life story throughout the book, does he not? I don't know if that's. It just feels. It feels real cash grabby. I haven't seen the trailer. Maybe it's fine. It feels real cash grabby.
Can that even be put in movie format? Here's the Pirates Cove, Wisconsin Dells brochure, the movie. like that's what it kind of feels like to me. Like
here's the Cheesecake
whole,
Factory menu, the movie.
This whole notion of like, we're going to change your life in 2 hours just kind of makes me feel icky. Maybe that's not what it's about, or I'm just making assumptions, but...
Shin Ultraman.
Damn right.
Don't know what that is.
Ultraman is a classic Japanese tokusatsu show, kind of like Power Rangers. I want to say that was one of the first shows where they have the giant, the little guy turns into a giant to fight the giant monster. And the Shin prefix, I'm going to get this wrong. I should have done a little more research, but I don't know if that means the studio or I don't know what that refers to, but there's been a Shin Godzilla as well. And directed by Shinji Higuchi, so maybe it's a reference to... Hold on, I need to find that out real quick. Okay, so it's a Japanese wordplay that it could convey new, true, and God. There's a lot going on there. But there's been a Shin Godzilla, which was a 2016 kaiju Godzilla movie where it was made by Toho Pictures, an OG Godzilla studio, with practical effects and just oozing style. Lots of people really liked that. And Shin Ultraman is going to be something similar. It's a reimagining of that original character with updated special effects. And there's going to be a Shin Kamen Rider as well, but that's in 2023. Later in 2023. So we can look forward to both of those. But
cool.
That's coming out. It looks kind of neat. I don't know if I'll see it, but that caught my eye.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to the Box Quote podcast. That wraps up monthly preview, our third and final segment of the show. So thank you so much for listening. We are still in the process of setting up an email and all that stuff that you can reach us at. But just if you know us in real life, just say things to our faces if you have notes.
Hit us up.
Yeah, and
you know where to find us.
But by next episode, we should have all of that done.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, by next episode, we should have all of that done. So, and then, we'd love to hear notes on the show. And if you have anything that you would like to suggest or have questions for us, anything like that, we'll probably have a mailbag segment in the future. So that'll be a lot of fun, and we hope to hear from you. All of our artwork was done by my brother Jeff, and you can have him do artwork for you at jeffffenton303@gmail.com. He's super good at it. We're getting our social media banners and stuff like that done now, and I'm pretty excited about it. They're going to look real good. He's very good at that stuff, so reach out to him if you want him to do your artwork. And Tom on the show did the intro and outro music, and it's super good. So thank you very much for Tom for that.
Album coming out soon. I'm kidding.
Album, yeah.
No pressure.
So is there anything else you guys want to add? Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, we appreciate it a lot.
Please like this show, review this show, share it. Please do all the things on your podcast. Download it on your podcast app of choice. It seriously,
burn it to a CD.
Helps. It seriously helps a lot. I think it's not that high, but there's like a ceiling of listeners that we have to have, and then we kind of get paid for doing something that we love doing.
We turn into gods among men.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and we really appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.